Yeah, that's pretty much it. Welcome everybody. How is everybody doing on this wonderful Friday? You know, last day of the week. If you had a good week, today's not the day to risk it for the biscuit. If you haven't had a good week, today's also not the day to risk it for the biscuit. There's going to be next week. We've got the Fed coming up next week as well, so there's still going to be plenty of opportunity. So, if you feel like you missed out in some of the opportunity this week, don't feel like that. There's going to be more opportunity. There's always going to be more opportunity. Deal with this. Today is the last trading day of the month. Yes, today is the last trading day of the month.
And that usually means some good volatility, though, right?
It could be, yeah, but most of the time, the last day of the month, you'll see them kind of mark the market up, um, to to close out their books on a um, pretty decent mark, because they have to report to their investors at the end of every month. So if they want to report decent numbers, they're not going to let the market give up too much. But I mean, the market is giving up here, pretty decently. If we take a peek at it on a wider scale, we can see we're still pretty much in this balance. We had kind of a look above balance yesterday, so we come down. We started to balance. I would really just say that was kind of just an extension of balance. I would just say that this is balance down here. So got our balance low. Here's our balance high. So we're coming back into balance. We're right at that point of control. It'll be interesting to see what kind of reaction we get up here if we test back up towards that top of balance, or if we just start to range. Something I was looking for and still am looking for, and I talked about this, is this area here. I wouldn't be surprised if the market comes up here and starts to fill in this weak structure, right? We have kind of these tails on each side. We didn't get up here on this day. And then yesterday we just liquidated right through it. People short, bunch of short covering yesterday, basically one time framed up all day. So it would make sense to fill in some of this weak structure. We did try to find some value here this morning, and then liquidated down a little bit. Was like B session, I think. We double tapped that high and then pushed down. We now have some single prints as well, a poor low, a poor high, and some single prints. All right, so just to kind of recap, like last night's inventory, right? So here's the settle. Inventory is pretty much 100% net short. The market opens today right here and kind of just hangs, and then started to, I mean, it came down a bit, but started to come back up, a little correction of overnight inventory right to that overnight point of control. D period opens up, taps that point of control, we put in that poor high and then start to sell down. We then put in some single prints off of liquidation, probably, little little too much little too much um buying right here off of the open. If we look, you can see, big chunk of volume here that came in here, and this is just people buying off the open, and then as it came back through, it came back down with some good tempo, broke the open and kind of sat for a second and then liquidated. And that was probably just the liquidation of these long traders off of the open, so weaker handed traders. And we can tell, pretty much today that for the most part, we are having, weaker handed traders trading today for the most part. Flipper, what's up, my man? Caesar, good morning. If we take a peek around the market, everything is looking pretty ugly, if you ask me. We had kind of some confusion early on. You see with the tick, people are buying, people are selling. We got down below 1,000, came back up, and now the tick is heading back down. The breadth is negative 1.5 to 1, negative 1.1 to 1 on the NASDAQ. Pretty much every sector is red. We take a peek at the VIX. The VIX is actually back above 30 here. You can see I have some markers marking the low. We're starting to build a little bit of a range. TLT also took a drop this morning and is on its way back down. If TLT keeps heading down, and the market keeps heading down, it could be not great for the market.
What's the TLT?
It just tracks the ultra bonds. So like anything 20 years and above. Trin, good morning. Zoe, good morning. Pop, good morning. And then, I mean, you could see oil. Oil had a lot of earnings today. And you can see here, gapping up on the day and starting to form a little bit higher and kind of starting to break trend. If we were to, it's getting, if you look at here, I mean, I would say that's a pretty decent trend after this kind of gap up. So we're gapping up on oil, breaking that trend. We talked about how we would probably stay in this area for a while. Remember, after the oil spike, if you've been with us for a while, and now we're finally getting to that spot where it's looking to break out. So that's going to be something that we have to monitor, especially over the weekend to see what's going on. Izzy, what's up, man? How's it going? Brother, what's up, bro? Market's starting to come down a little bit here. Not really seeing, I mean, Apple's down 1.2, Microsoft down 1.8, Google down 2%, Amazon, really getting the smackarooski here. They didn't recover quite as well. So yesterday, we look, so this light blue is post-market, dark blue or bright blue is pre-market. You can see post-market, they took a spill, tried to recover, and then, they're just kind of balancing out today. Apple, it did something similar, right? Big drop down on the post-market, but the pre-market came up. But as you can see, and really, I mean, it looks like it's coming down as well. Let's take a look at AMD real quick. They kind of did the same thing. Kind of trailed down during the aftermarket, sideways during the pre-market, pop and drop.
Yeah, during that pop, I bought some more
What?
to hedge my bet, and it so far has worked out. I dumped about 60% of my position
Nice.
at profit, so I'm just letting this last a little bit. I'm pretty far into profit on these last ones, so we'll see what happens.
And it's coming down, like it'll probably come down. Morning, Jamie. Yeah, it's weird, like I'm not seeing all the selling all around the market, but there is selling like in tech still today. And it's starting to pick up. When we look at the daily, let me just drag this back over here real quick. When we're looking at the daily, what I want you guys to try to imagine, right, is that, look at this B profile that we're forming. Okay, so So we know that this is most likely liquidation. We're starting to form a balance. And so the key here is towards the lows of balance, we want to be, we don't want to be just shorting the low of balance, expecting it to break out of balance. And we don't want to just be getting long at the top, expecting it to break up out of balance. But when we come back up here, I want you to treat this as single prints. I know it's a lot, 50 points of single prints, but think about it on a bigger scale. If you were trading only on a daily chart, like let's say the daily chart was the smallest time frame that you were trading on, think about that. What's going to be up here? If we look back and you look from the beginning of the year, right? We're definitely in this little downtrend for the year so far. So as price gets up here, these people that are short, they buy back their positions here. They short again, they buy back their positions here. Rallies up, they short again, they're buying back positions here. So if this thing breaks up, if they want to be aggressive, they'll short here. So if we see a good rejection of this area here, that could almost give us the confidence to be looking at this low level. Right? If we see the market come up here and just die and not able to get through, or just get smacked back down hard, I think that there's opportunity for this this low to be taken out. And then remember, we still have this gap down here on the daily. Sarah Binsky, hello. How are you? Patrick, good morning.
What's up, fam?
What's up, TJ? So notice how we've been basically in this area for a while now. D did break that C low, and we still are, one time framing to the downside. But we've just kind of been hanging out around this point of control. And if we look back at these EPOs, you can see where value's at, right? You can see that we have some pretty consistent value. We had overlapping to lower value here, and then that big short covering rally, but value for the most part is still sticking into this range. And so imagine if we were to merge all of these, right? Where the profile would be for the week so far. So this is the week profile. Yo, Brad, love your lives. Thanks for sharing all this knowledge. Oh yeah, Sarapinsky. Yeah, thank you for hanging out. Martin, what's up, man? Caught the short using the profile, my man. It's nice, isn't it? Fine Pop, you ready? Let's get it. You need. Uh-oh, Kevin, stop drawing on my screen.
Hijacker.
But so think about this. Here's the profile so far for this week, right? Because this was Monday. We're into Friday now, and you can see just the big balance of this week so far. Yeah, we had a little bit of upside, but yeah, we're continuing down, right? And so we can do something, and sometimes this is what I like to do. And since the market's kind of slowing down here, I'm just taking a little bit of time. But if you guys want to jump back to the regular chart, just let me know if the market starts to move. But so if we come over here and we change this, let's say we want to go and look at the profile on a week, right? Time profile 1 week. Just look at it on the weekly. Make it a little bit bigger. And so when we look at this on the weekly, it just gives you a little bit more perspective than it does when you're looking at a bar chart, right? For me, it does at least, because we can really see where the excess is at, right? It's tough on a candlestick, especially when you're looking at all this shit, but you can see it a little bit easier. This is a bigger time frame. We're looking at a week. We've got, you know, value here, values overlapping to higher the next week, values higher the next week, higher the next week, comes back into this previous weekly value, checks below, checks back up into this weekly value, and liquidates, right? And then comes back down into these, you know, these 2 weeks. Well, it's really just 1 week we spent down here, and then this one was kind of just a rager. But then we've just come back down and we've kind of settled, right? And if we look at this, let me add some more time to this chart. Well, it doesn't, I mean, we don't really need to. The thing that grabs me about this chart is the amount of time spent, right? So notice how, oh Jesus Christ. Notice how thick this profile is. So notice how thick this profile is here. A really thin profile, and this we're getting a lot, right? But we're getting a lot off of the low. So this is what kind of makes me think to myself like, oh, maybe you've got a lot of longs or a lot of shorts, people that are short from high or even higher, you know, starting from the beginning of the year, we've basically been on a downcline, that are starting to cover, and they're not covering, you know, we haven't broken this low yet. We took this low, I mean, not on this chart, but we really took this low. I just only have this thing on until 1600, but if we put it to 1615, single would finish right here. But it was just a little strip. So, but it was in you know, a selling excess. And you know, you think about like selling just kind of dies out down here and shorts start to cover. We get some more selling here, and this is the thing that's kind of, you know, makes me a little bit nervous is when we get into this area. You've seen twice now, this area for the most part is not a spot besides back here, and this is all the way back in February, that there's been a lot of value, right? So a lot of times the market has to rally before it can break. So if, and I do still have a negative bias, right? But what I'm looking for is opportunity, higher opportunity. So if the market rallies into this spot and we don't see that liquidation and we see a nice rejection, that is going to be that perfect setup. And this is the same thing we just talked about on the daily, but just zooming in a little bit on the weekly to give you a little bit more perspective on with the TPO of how weak that structure is in that area, right? And if I, even if I add a little bit more time to this chart, I add more. Let's load. Oh,
Is this Sierra you're using?
what's that?
Is this Sierra chart you're using?
Yeah, this is Sierra Trends.
Cool.
Moving to Pennsylvania, moving to the East Coast, and then we'll be able to trade the opens together. It'll be fun. Okay, so here we go. We got a oh, that's where your family's from, Alex. So, what the fuck does Jared want? But you can kind of see, like, you know, there's not much here. When we came down into it, we kind of tried to hold this level, didn't like it, traded back down, and then just traded right through it, right? There was a couple little hangout spots here, but not really much coming in compared volume wise and time wise, right? And if we're looking at time, look at all the volume coming in this week right here. And so this is just, you know, something to take a peek at. It's easy to adjust your TPO to this level. It takes, you know, literally one click of a button. You just click here, click, oops. Well, if you could click the right buttons, aren't me. Click studies, go to your TPO, click settings instead of weeks, put it back on days, click OK, and then boom, we're back to our day chart, right? It's pretty easy and just gives you a bit of perspective sometimes, right? And sometimes that's what we need. We need to just gain a little bit of perspective so we don't, you know, get caught in the wrong idea. And that's you know, that's the reason I'm stressing that so much is because I think that we might see a lot of people get trapped up here. I kind of feel like the market's going to rally at the end of the day. Just like yesterday, I kind of felt like the market was going to break at the end of the day. It just looked kind of weak, and then eventually it did, not till really after hours, and then even honestly not till after market it didn't break. So it really just kind of held at the end of the day. The rally was kind of late. But with Powell coming up next week, we do have some good earnings coming up on Monday as well in the Dow Jones, but not too much in the S&P. But if we get up here and then Powell comes in and he's like fucking boom, basis points, like, you know, maybe he raises a full point instead of just half, like they're talking about. It just, I mean, there's so many if, ands, and buts. I just want you guys to be able to think of all possibilities, not if we come up here, I want to get long. It's if I come up here and see the reaction that I want to see, then I want to get long. If I come up here and I don't see the reaction I want to see, even though it's in my zone to get long, doesn't necessarily mean get long. Oh, the Bethlehem area? Yeah, I don't know anything about Pennsylvania, to be honest. I know where Philly's at. I know where Pittsburgh's at, kind of. I mean, Pennsylvania's a big ass state, you know, especially for the East Coast. Let's see if they want to break out right here. They tried this little spot earlier, this 18 right here, and they weren't able to get anything going. But above 18 is kind of that, or if you guys remember, that 42.20 level has been a big level this week that we've seen. It was a level that we put in. What was that? On I think it was Monday. That 42.20 was a big catching level for a lot of buyers that were showing up down there or down here. I imagine that that's probably the target to get above, and then above that 42.20 level, we can see, you know, very, very thin volume, and we see a lot of volume forming down here. And when we see something like this is interesting too, because it's off the low, but there was still some action here, so you might have got some sellers trapped. But really below this volume, it can start to get pretty ugly, and you've got to think about too 4,200. I think we played this game. We played the same game this week, where we got close to 4,200 and then, you know, kind of rallied off. And then what was that low yesterday? The low yesterday was 82. But I mean, ultimately they've got to get above the C high just to show a little bit of life here. But above that C high, I think we'll get some short covering. Honestly, I don't think the selling here is as strong as it seemed early on. The Bank of Japan moved dovish than the Fed. Yeah, I don't know about that. Well, the thing is, it's just different, right? Because like their inflation rate is just 2%, but 2% to us seems like, oh, 2%, that's not shit. But 2% to them is like the highest it's ever been. So I don't know. I don't think. I mean, even if you look at the if we look at if you look at the dollar, the yen, it had that spill today, but I mean, it's really, the dollar's still strong. You know what I mean? Even if we look at dollar futures, the dollar is still, you know, the dollar is still strong, right? Really strong. And then if we look at the JPY, the yen futures, I'll go this thing today. It's like not going to where I want it. Daily. What the fuck is that? What is Well, I don't know what's going on with this chart right now. Okay. I don't know what the deal is. There we go. So you can see, the yen futures have just been getting just absolutely smacked. They're catching a bounce today, but nothing. I don't know, nothing serious. And it's kind of like I said. I think that everybody around the world is, buying the dollar, and like I said yesterday, that is basically a sign of low liquidity when all of these other countries start rushing to our dollar or to the US dollar. It's showing low liquidity from some of these other countries, and then the issue becomes a lot of times when they start buying up dollars, you know, the liquidity is running out, and then if you owe, let's say if you owe a debt in US dollars, you've got to, pay the piper to get those dollars in order to pay your debt, because some people aren't willing to work with, like, the exchange and all that. So I don't know. I think in history Japan has been kind of a leader in recession, like a precursor. Like when they start to suck, it pretty much just starts to suck all around. But yeah, I don't know. Mr. Red, what's up, man? Cash is holding up here at 42.20. Take the glowback session. Bitcoin still looks to be, doing okay, just hanging out in this little balance here. That 39,136 level has still been a pretty decent level to keep playing off of. Don't get long below it, and don't get short above it for the most part. I mean, there's some opportunities always, but so we're opening up a third TPO. E opens up right here inside of the previous day's value. Right, acceptance with inside the previous day's value. We've got the point of control here. If we get acceptance, typically we trade, probably test that C excess. But like I said, I think buyers look to be stepping up here, and so I think that you probably get some short covering above the 20. But it's a pretty mechanical day so far. Let's see. So here's a 20. Let's see if they initiate here and get that short covering. I can show you the shining lens. Tommy, what's up, bro? We're seeing some buying step up here. Looking for that 25 and be the first ticket here. See if they can crack over that 25. See where the volume's at up here. It's like the first kind of chunk of volume, 35 or 25, 26, and then up here at 30. But remember, this is single prints too, so you could just see buying fade out. So when we're looking at these weak volume spots as it's popping up here, we want to see buyers keep stepping up, keep stepping up. So so typically, at least in my studies, what happens is when I'm doing like look backs and stuff, and if you look on this website called Fred Charts, you just type in Fred Charts into Google and it'll come up, and you can basically look at just like everything that you want to look at here. Every chart, I mean, they just go back forever. And sometimes I get bored and I'm just like on my iPad watching TV or whatever, and like just fucking, get into a rabbit hole of old shit. But typically what will happen is the yen will start to fall, and this is kind of what we've been talking about. The yen's getting smacked right now, and so is the euro. Is the euro? The euro is getting smacked right now. Even the pound is getting smacked. I don't know if the pound has futures yet. Does the pound is getting smacked right now too? And so typically, this is what happens: is there's just going to become a lack of liquidity. Like all the money is getting used to buy dollars, buy dollars, buy dollars. Well, eventually, it's all going to be out. We're looking for that 25 here. We're all going to be, you know, there's not going to be any money for anybody, and then all of a sudden, boom! It's easy to just dump a market with low liquidity to levels that you want it to go. If we start to see some recovery in the yen and the pound, that could actually be pretty okay, I think, for the economy, for everyone's economy. But typically Japan normally runs into a recession, or normally leads the world into a recession, kind of, or they're like a pre indicator, their economy is.
Canary.
And yeah, there you go. That's the canary. They're like, hey. And that's why a lot of people, I mean, and the yield curve inverted, and I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of indications of a possible recession, but the thing is that every time is different. And of course, it's easy to look back on hindsight and be like, oh, of course this happened because of this and this. Look at all these signs, and then the next time, something comes up, you look for the same things, but it's never the same, right? And so that's where the term black swan comes from, because it's a unique event, and people spend a lot of time trying to prepare for black swan events, and if you honestly could prepare for a black swan event, then it wouldn't be a black swan event. You know what I mean? And so like it's just um we can only look back at history and see what's happened and see what worked last time, and see if it can work again. And if it doesn't work, we can't just keep smashing it till it works. It's time for a new strategy, right? Or time to find something else that can be more identifying, right? The last couple of times that we had a recession, we weren't on the global scale of like war breaking out, or like a lot of there's just a lot of nuke talk lately. We're still seeing that resistance at the 25. They were able to pop above it for a quick second, but people are still offering up that 25 here. But if buyers can hold this 20, get above the 25, then probably take us up to 30 at least. Honestly, probably take us up higher than that. Up to like 35. My Discord is not working, and that's purposely, Detroit Dan. If you want a Discord link, I will send it to you right now. The reason I have it like that is because I don't want to get a bunch of spammy Discord people. Because the Discord community that we have is like really tight knit group of people that's unlike any other Discord I've ever been in. Most Discords are pretty toxic, if I can use that word, where they're just like, anytime anyone posts anything, they're just completely like, oh, dumbass, or they'll like comment on an old message where something didn't work out and be like, guess that didn't age well, or some shit like that. And that's just not what we're about. We're all about helping each other improve and stuff. One second. Okay, my bad. And so basically, you know, with the Discord, we just want, you know, good positive people. Peter Moore, thank you for the like. Purple Swan for the follow, and Marha for the follow over on Twitch. But yeah, so I mean, join the Discord. There's a link right there. Just you know, remember to be positive and respectful. Don't bash people. We're all here to learn and help each other improve. So no one person is right about the market. It's just not how it works. And if there is one person that's right about the market all the time, they're not going to share how they're right about the market all the time until it stops working. I'm being honest. There's a lot that goes into it with just being well, even that, right? You could be right all the time, but timing, you know, is so important as well. So, and if you've never seen this before, this is the market profile. We call it, you know, the matrix here. So welcome to the matrix. Find the crypto chemist, grab a red pill, and welcome to the real world. So they're back below that 20 here, and they're basically just kind of checking back down. We see this weak volume at the 16. So let's see if we get buyers here looking to step up to support this, right? We saw buyers step up to take those stops. So we know there's a little bit of initiation because they took the stops of the D and the C high, and then they even tested up where we saw our last, you know, kind of seller come from, which was that 25, but they weren't able to get above. So it's still telling us responsive seller is up there, but we have you know, if you think about the profile now after the liquidation, this is something that you'll see me do probably fairly often. I don't really leave it like this, but if we have a liquidation, we get some single prints. I like to see, okay, we got excess, and here's the balance. So I don't want to be trading in here. I want to either be patient, let us get up into that excess, see some buying, and then go with it, looking to close these singles. Or when it comes down here, if I see it start to fade, then I'll buy it down there. Or you know, the inverse of both of those. If it comes up here and we don't see buying come in, probably starts to fade back down, I can go with it, looking for it to come back down to value, or even possibly down to the other side. Today is more of a day, I think, that a fade trade or pullback trades on go back. A pullback trade is probably your best opportunity to be patient and wait for that trade to come to you instead of just trying to initiate. I think if you initiate on a day like today, even if you break the low, you might end up sitting in a little bit more heat than you want to. So back above the 20. Buyers were active here last time. Let's see if they're still here. You know, that's actually another common thing too, is that I was talking with someone yesterday and trying to explain to them how the auction process works, and it's like, why would buyers show up here if they didn't show up here? Why wouldn't they just buy it when price came down here? That's dumb, right? Because our minds teach us to think we only want to buy stuff when price is low, right? Well, to somebody, this is how you have to think, right? To me and you, we're day time frame traders, you know, shorter term time frame traders, so we're zoomed in. But let's say on a larger time frame, if this guy's trading on a daily chart, he saw that this excess got put in and he doesn't want to wait, and so what he does is he starts to buy up here. And then, you know, you can see the buying coming in there. We see it there. He starts to buy up here because he's a bigger trader, right? He's not trading 1, 2, 10, 15 lots. He's trading hundreds, thousands of lots. And so if he tries to fill, maybe he's trading 10,000 lots. If he's trying to fill 10,000 lots, and he, you know, unless he's going to fill them one at a time as price goes back and forth like this, which isn't going to happen, he's got to have a wider range of space that he's going to fill this in. And that's what we're trying to identify, is identify that longer term time frame trader coming in to push the market up. Watch this 1572 here. It's not getting a lot of love. And this is kind of the action that we're looking for here. We're looking for them to hold this 20-ish level. I mean, you can see where the chunk of volume is here, so you really don't want to see it go below the 17 very much, but you're looking to see them hold this and then just get over that hump and then ride it into that 30 where the rest of that volume's at, where the rest of these sellers are probably lurking. And then remember, we sell into strength, so you don't want to be, trying to look to fill the whole thing.
Brad, I learned a valuable lesson a while ago.
Okay.
Never trade with your dogs in the room.
What happened?
Man, I've been fading off of the around the 207 level. And it was like my third, because I was waiting for the direction to change.
Mhm.
And man, so I've done that like 2 or 3 times. And then the last one, it started to go and I was like, crap, I'm going to miss it. So I kind of jumped in a little later than I probably should have. And when E started and started coming down, I was a little negative. And man, my freaking Great Dane walks by and I had my mouse on the flatten button and hits my hand and it goes over to reverse and clicks and reverse my position. So
damn
I
it.
closed and then took another loss because I had to get out of it. Thankfully, that I was able to get back in before it popped, before E started going up. So, Brett, it was horrible. It was horrible.
It sounds like it. All right, so it's getting over the 25 here. If buyers come in, the next ticket is the 30 here. And then over that 30 brings us to fill those single prints. So as we're getting close to this 30, that's where you want to start to cover some of your position, right? Because the 30 is going to be where we expect active sellers to be. And there's, kind of weak volume here. So we expect sellers to try to defend this level. And it looks like they are a little bit. We want to see buyers step back up on this 25 here. Sellers are trying it here, but they're not doing a very good job. You're not getting it. You're not getting a lot of not getting a lot of people lifting the offer above this 26 yet. Sitting, yeah, there it goes. It fades a little bit. Yeah, not a lot of action above that 26 right there. Back down to probably back down to the 20 now. Here's the 20. See if buyers step up again. So that looked pretty weak, if I'm being honest. That there was no follow through there. That might have been opportunity to catch a fade. I was just in a long trade, so I just closed. But there might have been opportunity. Well, there definitely was opportunity there, but see what they do. Remember, they're still. I mean, they've been stepping up I mean, 20 on honestly, like we said, down to that 17. You got a small piece? Oh, my wife just got home. 1 second, guys. Love you too. All right. So we're bidding, or we tried to bid back up right there. Um, Detroit Dan, did that link work for you? Oops, caps lock. I'm aggressively typing. Like my dad. So you can just see that they keep, kind of bidding back to this 20, and this is where they were able to get that pop from. But like I said, it looked kind of weak up here. So, I don't know. There's opportunity here, but where are you gonna be looking to give up? And then if we pop up here again, this looks weak. Be better just to wait and see if it fills these singles by yourself or by itself. We've got about 8 minutes left, so 8 minutes is not that long. Everything else is still looking pretty red, but the Nasdaq has flipped green, which is what's kind of got me leaning on this upside a little bit, right? And we're starting. I mean, selling is still coming in here. We're back below the 20 now, but the Nasdaq's just barely red with Amazon down 12%. I would assume, that with something like that down so much that this market would be a lot lower than it is, right? It just something's not adding up, and that's why we've got to exercise some some caution today for sure. Get rid of that crosshair. I mean, sometimes I like the crosshair, I guess, but so watch the low volume area. Look for a response from sellers. Sellers should be down here selling the bid. If they're not, well, then we know they're not active. But they are trying to sell the bid here, it looks like. Buyers are just stepping up, matching their efforts. And then it trades back through. Here. See if they can get to 30 this time. We came down, we got some responsive selling, but we got some initiated selling, but responsive buying kind of overpowered them, and now we're back, right to the battleground of the 20. So let's say you're basically just looking for either sellers to initiate a little bit more, which it looks like they're trying, but buyers are just kind of matching their efforts, it almost looks like here. Notice how we're not seeing price move much, right? We're just kind of seeing one tick up, one tick down, one tick up, one tick down. And that's kind of telling us that you're getting that competition, right? They're meeting those efforts. So sellers are coming in, buyers are coming in, sellers are coming in, buyers are coming in. They're meeting those efforts. It's just a matter of kind of who is eventually gonna run out of steam here. Buying here looks kind of weak again. So does the selling. And it just looks like shit. Let's just wait till the next period opens up. Morning, Dad. We're seeing some selling on the board here too. Back down to that 17. Let's see if you get this initiated selling again. Yeah, definitely. There's definitely some sellers trying to initiate down here, it looks like. Target's going to be that ELO. They just can't. Buyers just keep meeting their efforts here. They just can't get any progress. Four minutes or 3 minutes till the next period opens up. Sellers are moving down. Ooh, I'm seeing a lot of red here on the board. Apple's down 1.2, Microsoft down 1.8, Google down 1.6, Amazon 12, Tesla's green, Facebook's green. Not a lot of shit is red. Coming down back to the point of control here for the day. And I think it's yesterday's point of control as well. Oh no, yesterday's point of control is higher. Yesterday's TPOC though, that's for sure. Coming down into volume here. Look at this little volume chunk right here. So you could tell that these sellers came down on that 14 and started to try to offer price lower. And the 10 is where they were trying earlier without any success. So if they can get back below the 10, you might see some initiated sellers that like the price below that. They sense the weakness and they might be thinking, let me sell some down here. F period opens up. 2 ticks up. Bam. So we had a mechanical low on that E low. It's fixed now. See for follow through. Bitcoin's not really doing much. Looking around the market, we're not really seeing much. The VIX is up, but just barely up. DLT's down. Every sector is pretty much red. This. Consumer discretionary is getting smacked the hardest today. Down 3.25%, and then also the real estate sector is getting smacked pretty hard. 275. Doesn't take much to smack the real estate sector though. So looking for a continuation here, we're below the 10, and you're looking to see price trade below the 5 and some buyers to start, or some sellers start to initiate price down here. And so last time they were down here during that D period, didn't really get anything going. And you can kind of see, like, you see, 1,000, and then all of a sudden it just kind of tapers off at the bottom. But we're spending, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 TPOs now inside yesterday's value. And so the target, if you're looking for that trade, is going to be here. D low's broken. Oh. There goes some stops. Look at the response right there. So there's some responsive buyers down here, or maybe some buy stops. But we did just see a response. Oh, is that thing? Why is it doing that? Remember, we have that 4,200 right here. You're seeing sellers move down and initiate down here. It still looks like they want more downside. You're just seeing a little bit of responsive buying. There they go. What is short covering? Sellers still trying to initiate. Just watch the 3 level. Above the 3 level, you might see it, some more short covering. If you're short here, you might see that's kind of like the impulse is that 3 spot.
Apple's getting close to 2% down.
Oh yeah, they are. Big volume shelf down here at 159 for Apple too. Bitcoin not coming down too much. Like they're struggling to just push price lower. They're definitely down here selling. 102 contracts trade on the low there. Just kind of battling over this 4,200 level. All right, watch that bottom tick. That's what we're looking at here. Because sellers are down here trying to sell. It's just can they get down there and sell that bottom tick? Get some continuation. Twice. All right, they're able to touch it a little bit. There it goes. Nice. There we go. Would volume profile work on the cash market? Yeah, the volume profile works. This is a volume profile right here. Yeah, the difference. So if we're looking at this, I gotta monitor this trade real quick. Into it. If we're looking at the profile, you know, and if we were to, you know, bring Apple over here, let's say, and then put on, uh, volume. Okay, so you can see here, um, it's it's just, I mean, it's just a difference if you're able to kind of add these together. And if I put this on the ES, I don't know if it'll break up the sessions. Well, it doesn't break it up in like cash and anything, but you know, it's if you can kind of look at these bars here a little bit easier and see the profile shape with the volume, right? It's tough on this volume here because it's just not, you know, it's not amazing. You can see, but if you can kind of visualize that inside your head, then it can be a very useful tool. But if not, you know, it starts to get a little bit more difficult without the profile, right? Because then you're just looking at candlesticks and it's like, can I see that? I mean, if you jam them together, you can't really see it. But that's why I like, gives you the profile shape, gives you the candles, gives you the volume profile. Same idea here. It's just the TPO on the ES is like, it's kind of sketchy because it's so the ticks are super small. I'm gonna take a peek around, look at these options trades that people are sending around today. It looks like they're selling puts on the ES, but we all know that could just be a hedge at Apple. Pretty mixed. Microsoft looks like they're selling calls. Google looks like they're selling calls. Facebook's looks like people are buying calls. Let's look at Facebook real quick. Meta. Yeah, so they're up. They're still up. Yeah, it looks like people are buying calls on this pullback here for Facebook. So that'll be interesting to watch. So back to that 4,200 level here. Looked below, traded a little bit, came back up, starting to trade a little bit more here. Remember, we're watching that 3 level as a spot that we could see them, kind of chickening out, giving up on that short. So still just kind of chilling on this 4,200 level. You're seeing some buying step up. Sellers definitely still have the advantage as we're still below the 3 for sure. And then the target for a lot of these sellers, and this is what we've got to look out for, right? So we know one of the market profile trades, I guess you could call it, that people like is when a new day is accepted inside the prior day's range. Normally it trades to the limits of the prior day's value. So we opened, liquidated down, and I mean, I'm not even counting this as value, to be honest with you. I'm just counting our value areas. This is just nonsense. I just know there's sellers here, right? Single prints. We open up in there, try to trade up, can't, fade down. Now we're forming a B profile with excess on the bottom. And so what happens is a lot of sellers, late see that, oh, okay, we're inside yesterday's value. Oh, we're going to get below yesterday's range, because when they're looking at this, they're just seeing lows. They're like, oh, yesterday's range, let's start getting short, right? And they start piling in down here, and what happens is sometimes they get a little bit too short, and the market has to, bounce or create a better facilitation of the trade, right? Because if there's only people trying to trade one way, so imagine if you are trying to sell down here, you're trying to sell, and there's a big buyer down here, right? And you just keep selling, and then eventually not as many people are selling, and so then people are like, oh, okay, there's some sellers down here, maybe they move down, but then there's sellers up here, and they're like, nah, I'm not moving down. And so you've got all of these people short, and when the market starts to bounce, that's who gets out on the first bounce, right? Or these late traders that sold on the low. I'm not saying that that's going to happen right here. I'm just, trying to keep your minds open to both sides of the auction all the time, right? So regardless, you're in a short trade or a long trade right now, you've still got to be thinking about that opposite side of the trade, right? And so let's say if you're in a short trade right now, depending upon where you're short from, where is the spot where you're going to see these late shorts capitulate? That's where you want to be looking to get out of the trade as well, because you think about when a short covering rally happens, all of these shorts start buying back. Well, if your stop is way up here, well, you're going to give up a bunch of space in here, accidentally, but at your own fault, because you're not paying attention to the other participants in the market, right? You're just thinking, oh, well, if we just come back to up there, I'll just close it. But sometimes it can rally up with this light structure, as it did when it broke down right there. Still about 15 minutes until the next period. The cash SP looks weak. The SPY, you mean? Yeah, it looks good. But the thing is, you've got to take it all into context. Like today, yeah, it doesn't look great, but we've still got to remain contextual or objective, and understand we've had bounces higher and higher since Tuesday. Right, here's Monday. Bounced, sold off, bounced, They're gonna bounce here, who knows? But that's what we've got to be cognizant of. You got to remain objective when it comes to things like that. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look strong, but is now the time to be getting short? Maybe. There's opportunity here too, because all these people could capitulate. We don't really get a lot of action like that in the ES very much unless it's news driven. But, with all these stops kind of lined up from these past couple of days, if it gets below this volume shelf, could be a quick fall.
Are we below open?
Yes, way below.
Okay. AMD is just now hitting, well, getting a little bit below. So I was just curious what the ES was on. Thanks.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, AMD's coming. Yeah, AMD's coming into yesterday's highs too, or two. Yeah, well, yesterday's initial high off the open, and what day was this? The 27th high as well. So if they don't get a reaction and price starts to just spin down here, it'll probably come back down to 86.
I'm feeling the POC from yesterday, which is 85.75 or 86.75. Not that it's going to make it all the way there. I figure it'll make it at least to 86, right around where you were saying.
Yeah, it looks like it's getting rejected up here hard. So 32 contracts trade on the low this time. Does the profile work on the SPY? Yeah. Yeah, the profile works on anything. 99 contracts trade on the low there. There looks to be a responsive buyer down here. And remember, we kind of caught him early yesterday, but that doesn't necessarily mean that just because he did it yesterday and then the market rallied, that the same trick is going to happen. We've got 10 minutes until the next period opens up. Remember, we still have singles above the profile here. Yeah, sellers just look. I think they're just cautious. That's all it is. You've got a bunch of people that are short from the beginning of the year that are, you know, looking to take profit at the lows, and we're pretty close to the lows. So, you don't want to be, you've got to be careful at this point. Really, I honestly think it's going to take some. Oh, it's tough to tell. I feel like either Powell is gonna save the market and we're gonna break the low today, or next week Powell's gonna smack the market and we're gonna break the low next week. And then if we don't break the low this week and then Powell doesn't smack the market, then I think a lot of shorts are gonna get punished.
Is he talking today?
No, he's on next week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing big left today. There is some more earnings next week still from some decent sized names, but nothing nothing Market's trying to get back up to that 4,200 here, it looks like. Back above that 4,200 or the 4,200 here. Watch this thin volume. If buyers keep stepping up above the 3, you could see the short covering coming in. You're starting seeing green in the market here. You heard Jim Dalton applied, yeah, the market profile to real estate. He did, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can apply it to. The issue is the issue in a lot of things is the outliers, or the other factors that go into trading every day. Now you're starting to see red. Come smack it back down. Got above that 4,200, and then they showed right back up at that 3 level there. Or below the 3 level, because I didn't get up to the 3, I don't think. So we can see the buyers stepping up on like around the 96, right? Sellers trying to move down here. They're trying to sell it. For some reason, they just can't break that low, that 93.75 there. There's really about a little bit over 100 contracts trade on that low. If buyers move off here, sellers are moving down. They're trying to sell it. It just seems to be struggling a bit for some reason. And that could be, like I said, I think you've got some people that are afraid to get short during the lows because they've been, abused lately. And that's typically a sign in a bear market, is violent rallies. So tough to remain patient sometimes. There goes the low.
Broke 2% down.
Nice. $24 contracts trade on the low this time. Slow. What is going on with this? G period's opening up. We got singles above. Down on the lows here. See if these sellers step up. Try to push this thing down. Sellers need to hold this thing below 96, I think, right here. They put in a lot of effort to break from that 96. They need to keep it down there. I got my stop on 96.75. If it goes above 96.75, I'm gonna call it a day. 50-yard line. The divergence in the SPY on the RSI. I don't really look at the RSI, to be honest with you. I do look at the CVD, but not really on this. Well, we could look at it on the SPY. Let's see. Lower low. Yeah, you're just seeing a bunch of selling. We haven't broke this selling. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really look at RSI, to be honest with you. I don't think it's worthwhile, to be honest. I think it's just lagging and doesn't do a good job at what it should be doing, so there they go. They're trying to break this low here. Sellers moving down. Sellers still moving down here. Down selling the bid. 21 contracts straight on the low though. Yeah, watch this 96 level here. This is the level that you see probably a little bit of capitulation from these sellers. Yeah, I mean, and the thing about the RSI, Martin, is that, you know, it's useful, maybe on like, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's useful at all, to be honest with you. I can't even, it's useful for seeing a divergence. That's what I'll say. It is useful for seeing a divergence, which is what I think most of those indicators are best utilized for, is seeing a divergence. Watch the 96 here, guys. The 96, that's where you could probably see some sellers start to give it up.
I just got back. What indicator y'all talking about?
The RSI.
Oh yeah.
I'm not getting any continuation. 21 contracts traded on the low here. Above the 96 is probably where we'll see these shorts start to cover a bit. That'll probably take us back up to the 5 maybe. Well, maybe that 4,200, and then they'd have to get over the 3. But for buyers to convince me, they'd have to get over the 5. Is what I mean. And you know when you gotta pop your back, but it won't crack. Feeling how right now. Silver is feeling. A lot of selling coming in the market here. Watch that low tick. 21 contracts traded on it. We want to see that start to grow. That can give us a little bit more confidence this thing's going to get some continuation here. There's a big bid sitting down on the 90. Kind of scared the market up right there. $416 on the SPY looks like support. Let me look. Sorry, I was trying to stretch. My back is killing me today. Did 416. Yeah, that would be, I mean, that would be a key spot, I think, looking for these responsive buyers to see if they're still there and seeing if anyone is just kind of scared to initiate. As we've seen, right? We get down here, no volume, get down here, no volume, got down to the low yesterday, no volume. All the volume came at the top. So responsive sellers, responsive buyers step up here when sellers say that they're not going to sell, and they just ride the ramp up, and then now they're coming back down. So we'll look to see if they're going to be hopping on again and trying to ramp back up. Boom, haven't done drawing in a while, so I had to get it in. Still not over to really get over that 96. That's kind of where the sellers, 96.56 is kind of where they're holding this thing down from it.
Brad, what's the difference between the ES and the SPY? I mean, I know it's technically like the same thing, but like the price is different and stuff.
It's just the SPY is just an ETF, and so it's the same way. It just tracks the underlying stocks of the S&P 500. It's just the price just is like this. So like on the ES we're at 419, SPY's 418, right? The SPY's been kind of leading the process lately. There you go. There's that low. 82 contracts on that low. But that's pretty much it. 1.9, 1. Pretty much it. A lot of people use the SPY to trade, but you don't really get your bang for the buck trading the SPY. It's pretty cheap to trade, and so people tend to use it to hedge more often. If you're gonna trade anything that's not the futures, and you wanted to trade, you could trade the SPX, and that tracks the futures as well. Seeing a lot of selling down here. 900 contracts trade on the low. There it goes. Sellers still pushing down. They're selling this 89. The breadth is getting pretty negative here. We got negative 2.5 to 1 on the NYSE and 2.0 to 1 on the NASDAQ. Apple's down 2.2, Microsoft 2, Google almost 2, Amazon 13. Tesla's still green today, 2% up. Facebook has flipped red as well, but not down by much. Overall, pretty much all of the sectors though are red. Closest one to not being red is the materials sector. Communication services, consumer discretionary, information technology. I mean, things are getting beat up pretty bad here. Consumer discretionary really paying the price. Mostly. The VIX is starting to pick up a little bit here. It's up about almost 3%. So they're still moving down here. little short covering there. Apple suppliers given priority for Shanghai factory restarts. So that could be good news, because that was kind of the bad news about Apple yesterday, is that they were saying that the supply shortages, or like the manufacturing, the supply chain issues, I guess, basically that's been going on, which kind of affects every single level from manufacturing to mining to all of these things. But I guess China's giving Apple their priority, so that's good, because that was their issue yesterday with earnings, was their guidance was bad. Well, not guidance, they don't give guidance, but they just said that second quarter was going to be bad. That's kind of what happened to Amazon too. They stated some of the same issues, but they said they're going to have to move Prime Day to the third quarter, so it's not going to be in the second quarter anymore. So their big, or their next quarter is basically just going to be kind of shit, is what they said. Because that Prime Day really gets people to buy stuff that's not on sale and think it is on sale. For that downside still, here they go. Starting to see some bigger orders come in down here. It looks like getting closer to the bid.
Bigger buy orders or bigger sell orders?
Bigger buy orders, but they're below price, waiting for price to come down to them. But just to be cognizant of, they if they start moving up, they could scare the market back up, because the selling here is it's aggressive, but it's just not very strong. We're not seeing a volume that I would like to see. We're gonna keep mashing down. About 6% less than yesterday's volume. Oh man, my back. 19 contracts on the low there.
Have you tried a foam roller for your back?
Oh yeah, I have everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I just gotta stretch. Once I stretch out later today, then I'll be able to crack it and I'll be good to go. I just did like a really hard workout yesterday. I smoked market in a sprint. My wife's pretty fast too, so pretty impressive. But she's fast like at the mile. We're coming close to yesterday's low. They're looking for that target. That's the target here, is yesterday's low. And so you can imagine underneath of yesterday's low, there's probably going to be a few buy stops, so people taking profit. So what we'll want to look for is look for the impulse if we get below yesterday's low, and see if we can keep holding price down, right? We haven't really had any counter auctions. There's been no short covering yet, right? People have just been waiting for price to come up. I mean, not any significant short covering, right? People are probably taking profit, but nothing really counter against this downtrend so far. And we're one time framing down since the E high, where we failed to fill singles. Still smacking the low. They want it. $12 contracts on the low. Volume still coming in. Look how thin it is right here. That's gonna. I want to see this start to fill. There we go. Uh-oh, Biden just tested positive for COVID.
I knew there was a reason the market was tanking.
$57 contracts trade on the low here. It's starting to get a little bit thinner and thinner, as you can see, like, which is, fairly normal, right? We have 2 TPOs spent here, but we're seeing, we're just seeing the volume, slowly trickle down. When this is happening, it's key. Like, so what I do is I'm gonna write down this space right here, so that 42 to 02. I write that down on my notebook as a spot where I see kind of weak structure above us, that if we get back up there, I don't want to be messing with getting short right there, right? If I'm going to get short, I want to get short on a pullback to volume, right? Um I don't that This spot just stands out for me. It's 890 and it's all the way up here, so not that it's going to get up there today or anything. We just broke yesterday's low. Just notes, right? I really think that journaling is important and writing stuff down is important throughout your day, because it's hard to just remember everything. Even this right here, right? You're thinking, oh, I'll remember that. And then you'll go do something and then you'll be like, oh shit, what was that spot I was trying to remember? And then you go back and look for it, but maybe it traded through it later on. It's just you know, write stuff down. It won't kill you, I promise. Okay, volume coming here and then volume coming below. Looks very similar. Coin's getting a little bit of a dump as well. All right, Patrick, you have a good weekend as well. Starting to see some buyers try to buy back in right here at this low. That previous day's low right there. I think they're trying to initiate. Back inside yesterday's range. Look for acceptance above or below, right? This is what we want to see. Either we're going to get acceptance below yesterday's range, or we keep battling back and forth in between this low. So more often than not, we can get a little bit of continuation. But if we don't get back below that low, chances are that this might be you might get people spooked out. What do we got? 3 minutes till the next. So this could just be, like I said, those buy stops that were kind of just down there. So people just taking profit below yesterday's low, which makes sense. About 2 minutes left till the next period opens up. A little bit more information. There we go. Back and forth between yesterday's low. Sellers getting the opportunity to come down and initiate below yesterday's low. That's what they need to do, right? They need to come down and initiate trade below yesterday's low, showing that the price can go lower. They're struggling. They need to get below that 79.50 and hold it. Really, that's kind of where see the buyer at. Go. Watch for H. So we open basically right on the low. That's kind of sketchy here. So they're trading. Oh, let's see how many single prints. Looks a lot like yesterday, just inverse. Facebook's back to green here. The H high looks mechanical. The H low looks mechanical as well. Watch this 89 level. 89.50 was the offer area earlier during that G that really pushed the price down. Short covering coming out. They're going for that gap. Notice the tempo picking up here, right? This is like we talked about. These shorts are going to cover below yesterday's low. So that makes sense there. Now we want to see for continuation, right? Are these sellers going to come back in and reoffer? You know, it looks like they reoffered around that 4,200 to 97 level. Or, you know, is price going to get smashed back down, right? So here's the 4,200 down to like this 97, 96 level where the initial volume came in below the break, right? And so this is going to be the area that we'll pay attention to. Still haven't broken this one time framing down here. EFG now. Still haven't broken it to the upside. Kathy Woods on NBC. Let's see if we can find her on YouTube. And try to save the tech sector. So this 89 area is where sellers initially were able to push down and initiate from to break yesterday's low. And so now as we come back down to it, we got a little bit of short covering. You want to see if they are able to sell it again here. Or if they're willing to sell it again here. Oh fuck. There we go. 5. So they smack it down off that 89. We're still watching this level here. Sellers look to be trying to initiate again underneath of 89. He's talking about Teleduc. Yeah, we're in that 4-day balance still. That is correct.
Hey, Brad, can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
Is there a way to like say you got 3 lots? Is there a way to just like mark it out of 2, but like leave a runner in case it keeps going your way, or do you just have to like slide your 2 of your limits up?
You could do it either way. Yeah, you could do it either way.
'Cause-
That's why I use the DOM, because you can use the DOM to mark it out.
Well, if I use the DOM, I feel like it closes the whole position.
But
Because like on 3 lots, like if I switch to 1 lot, then it turns red and says like it don't match my bracket or whatever.
oh, so you entered the position with 3 lots?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how to break them up on CR charts. I haven't looked that up, to be honest with you.
Cool. No worries. I just
Sorry.
figured I'd ask. Got a little nervous, so I flattened, but I would have liked to kept one, just for the what if or whatever.
Yeah, see if we keep getting it down. Yeah.
Yeah, I shorted it. I think 41.90 with the
Nice.
stop of.
Where'd you put your stop at?
Actually, I had it at the what was it? 190, 41.94.
Perfect.
But I probably moved it to the top of G if I got nervous, but I don't know.
Yeah, they looked like they didn't get
Top of G,
any follow
been
through.
safe.
Yeah, you would have been good to go. Kathy Wood bought more Teledoc because it's the health backbone. But we fixed that low there on H, right? That H low seemed mechanical when it was right there, kind of right above the prior day low, and now it's a little bit below that prior day low here. So careful here if you're short. Nine contracts on the low. Oh, you know what? Go ahead and study on. Apple's coming down here. Almost to our level. If we see a balance, this is where it's going to come from. If not, it's going to trade straight through, in my opinion. So this next 20 minutes could really decide the fate of the market for the rest of the day. He's saying that Teladoc is in the same league as Amazon, Kathy Wood said. And she's talking about how she got Tesla right. Because she was a big believer in Tesla. She was an early adopter and she bet all of her marbles on it. She was fucking right, so. She said that they're focused on disruptive innovation. That gives you a little bit of insight into her mind and how she's thinking. She's thinking of these new technologies that are going to disrupt what's currently going on. And, that's why she's been investing in a lot of these companies. Tesla, you can see been pretty big disruption. And, so many people just hated Elon and shorted Tesla for so long and just got punished hard. She was on the opposite side of that, just reaping the benefits. But the issue with her that she gets all this grief is because all of her portfolio is pretty much high beta, and so anytime the Nasdaq gets a smack, she gets a smack. And then I would just hate to be her dealing with fucking people calling her and being like, why are we still in this? Why are we still in that? The market's crashing, blah blah blah. It's like, fucking hell. He's like, you loved me when I told you to buy Tesla at $96, and now you're over here bitching. Tesla's still up at $1,000. So that just doesn't sound fun. Now she's kind of low key shit talking about uh other hedge funds that don't take any risk. It's funny to watch rich people shit talk each other. Oh, you guys want to hear something really funny? Is yesterday Nancy Pelosi said that the oil people need to get punished because they're reaping all the benefits on this oil pump. And it's like, hello, have you seen your portfolio since COVID? Who's reaping these benefits? Back above that 89 here. This is where it starts to get a little bit dangerous, right? A little short covering can come out right here. This is where we saw it last time. That re-offer spot. Oh, it pops back up. Remember we said 4,200 to 97 is kind of the last straw, really. And then, I mean, you might get short covering if it gets above that area up until the 42.12. But they do a good job right there pushing it back below the 89. Strong rejection. Good. So notice on that low, right, that H low, we only only pushed down below that low a couple of ticks, and then the G excess is holding so far, and that's going to be the key like going forward for the rest of the day. Like I said, I think this area right here is either going to be the low or our capitulation point where we start to really get below this 4150, and it starts to get, I mean, it starts to get not good down here. You'll start to see a lot of fear come back in the market. But I would have liked to see a little bit more back and forth here to stay in the short position, but just now it's just looking like we're going to be bouncing. I love me a good trend, and I wanted it to keep trending. Yesterday was nice, but all right, Pop. We will see you later. Catch you on Monday, bright and early. Sounds good. Back to the 89. So it's becoming a key level here, this 89. NBC is saying a full point hike right now. Let me look at the Fed funds tool, see what they're saying. I mean, pretty much 100%. Look at this. 100%. June is, damn. Yeah, so they're basically just they're basically looking for a full point hike right here. 100% is basically agreed that a full point hike needs to happen. Back to the 89. FOMC countdown, 5 days, 38 minutes, 58 seconds. So here's another way to look at it too on the the front door on the CME website. So you can see May pricing in, go back, May pricing in that 75 to 1 basis points, 0.75 to 1 basis points, and then June pricing in, at least, at least a 50% raise, depending upon how. If May is a full point raise, then they're pricing in at least a half point raise, and then if May is only a 3/4 point raise, then June is going to have to be a 3/4 point raise as well to get to that 175 level. At least that's what the pricing in is telling us. Coming back up towards the top. Back down to the 89. Buyers step up. I think some gold get a little bit of a boost here. Gold's up a full percent today. Oil's up, but it came back. It's still up, but it came back a little bit. Apple's almost back to 2%. Tesla's up 2.5%. Facebook's up a full percent now. Remember we talked about this earlier. Facebook looks good on that pullback, and it did. I played it. Friday though, what can you do on a Friday? So watch 97 to 4,200. I think is going to be kind of their last chance to hold this thing down. If they don't get some action up here, or at least hold it back down, it'd be tough for them. Still holding it. Kramer said to buy Procter Gamble, so he's probably gonna crush me. Procter Gamble like 4 weeks ago, buddy. Watch this 4,200. They're trying it here. Still struggling on the 4,200 here. Sellers look to be reoffering, it looks like. Trying to close these singles up here. 5 contracts trade on that top tick. Shorts are starting to cover. They're getting nervous here. Singles don't close. Sellers trying to come back in on the 4,201 here. Go. Sellers still trying to initiate down here. I mean, we've seen this happened during G period when it popped up. They came down, initiated below that 4,200, and then again, H, the initial time that H came up and couldn't take it, came back down, and now they're doing it again. So this is going to be a pivotal spot. They need to hold it under, keep us down. Single print still didn't close. So here goes some selling here. Apple's starting to pick up a little bit of steam to the downside. All right, let's watch this I period as an opening auction. Open on the 94 for the most part. Watching this 97 to 4,200 area for a reoffer to see if sellers are going to keep pushing this thing down. They didn't really get quite the response off that top that they were looking for. I think they were looking for buyers really to kind of give up right there, and you didn't really see that on that way back down. Came back down at 94 and just stopped. Buyers might be getting trapped right here. It looks like they're trying to lift the offer and not getting any progress. So 6. As soon as I say it, they're like, "Oh, we're not getting any progress, huh? Here we go. Here's some progress for you." Sellers aren't moving down to sell this again. They probably want to see this thing get back below 96 before they start to initiate profit taken here. The volume's just super light right now. We're just kind of drifting. So I think buyers might have this, to be honest with you. That 93.50 area looks like that's where the buyer's sitting at. So if buyers were to break up, I think that you're probably looking at that 42.10, and then naturally they're going to want to fix this distribution. Right now we have kind of a triple distribution. If you look at the profile, right, we've got the upper distribution, this middle distribution, and this lower distribution. So if this lower distribution gets closed, you just slide this over and imagine that you have two profiles. This E becomes excess. If this distribution gets closed, the G low becomes excess, and then you look at it more as a balanced profile than anything else, and you'll look for it to build structure inside, right? You'll look for them to kind of balance this out. If not, you'll get that continuation to the upside. If there is some opportunity to the downside that they could look for, it just looks like there's a buyer down here on that 93. But that doesn't mean that we can't head down, especially we still haven't filled these singles to the upside. So there was some real buying strength up here, they would close that off. But on that note, I think I'm gonna call it. It's Friday. A nice day where I'm at. I'm gonna probably just be doing some stretching, no workout today. I kind of got a headache, so I'm gonna have to just do some relaxing. You guys have a wonderful weekend. If you are going to keep trading, make sure that you are managing risk and sticking to your trade plan. Be careful today. Today, I think at the end of the day, we could see a move, either way. Volume is still 10% less than the last period than it was the day before. So as we're beginning lower and lower, beginning less and less volume, so less and less participation, showing us that not as much initiated selling as we have seen. We take a peek over at the weighted decline in the tick, right? You can see that it's been pretty flat. There's just been kind of selling consistently, but not any more aggressively, right? We're still kind of just stuck trading down, right? And it's kind of diverging from the tick where we saw a little bit of selling and then seeing the tick make higher lows here. So that's an interesting as well. But yeah, other than that, you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will catch you guys later. See you later, Chin, Jamie, brother.
See, man.
Later, TJ.